So the other big trend that we're going to see is around personalization. Personalization, of course, increasingly popular, but also very tricky. Vendors joke about this, that they have this demos really well. No one ever does it. So I think one of the areas in particular where you're seeing a lot of really cool demos is around this sort of advanced behavioral-based personalization, where if it's after 3 p.m. in the user's local environment and it's raining in their weather, if it's raining outside, then serve them this different type of content or add them to a different profile. And this kind of behavioral personalization, again, it demos very well. Hardly everyone does it. One of the reasons why they do it is becoming very difficult to manage in the editorial environment, and the analytics around this are still very, very sparse. So I think what we're going to see in 2017 is at least around customers. We'll see how vendors respond around customers saying, I want to do the basics. I want to be able to do segmented. I have these segments of customers and prospects. I want to just leverage these simple segments, and I want to leverage these 5, and I want to do it really well. Give me a simple interface to do that well, as opposed to this advanced interface to do personalization poorly, right? So I think that again, this comes back to various issues around, can you really test and simulate and tell me, is this person actually in my store right now? Okay, in theory, that's all really cool. In practice, most teams aren't really set up to execute on this. Microsoft has been really, I think, particularly since 2010, really focused a lot on digital workplace, not so much digital marketing. And you know that recently they've put almost all of their energy into getting you into Office 365. Yes, they're still supporting SharePoint on-premise, but I think this idea of SharePoint as a web server platform for public-facing scenarios, that whole notion has really bitten the dust. And now, of course, you have SharePoint in Office 365. And one thing that's missing in Office 365 is, you also probably know, that Microsoft deprecated SharePoint publishing sites. So you don't really use Office 365 as a publishing platform for digital marketing engagement. So if you're looking for WCM and Microsoft in going forward in the future, this is probably not the place to look for it. The more interesting stuff is happening around Microsoft Dynamics, which is originally their sort of mid-market CRM platform. It's gotten more sophisticated over the years, and they've added some marketing capabilities on top of it, including down here you can see these sorts of landing pages. And I think that it's probably not a small step from here to go to having to need some web content and experience management capabilities. To the extent that Microsoft either develops that or acquires it, it's likely to come out of the Dynamics group rather than the SharePoint group. So here's, Microsoft's sort of self-driven view of the world. Of course, it never really works quite like this, but in terms of the execution, they've got marketing, resource management, digital asset management, multi-channel campaign, but interesting, no web content and experience management there. So obviously that's something that's lacking, and I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft did pull the trigger on this and either acquire or build something. On the other hand, people have often thought this about Microsoft, so and they don't have a great track record in some of the tools they have acquired, although I would argue that Dynamics was probably a success. So we'll see what happens here. I just have this funny feeling. I don't have any insider dope on this, but I have this funny feeling something will happen.